you, sir. We now move on to the next talk, DMEC in Complex Situations by Dr. Rajesh Vogla.
To DSEC, we move on to performing DMEC in complex situations. I have no financial interest to disclose. Now, the insertion of the DMEC donor is usually commonly performed using a flushing technique, where using a glass or a plastic injector, you flush the donor into the eye. And if the anterior chamber volume is not sufficient, sometimes by the time you get the donor into the eye, the chamber is pressurized and the donor scroll has a tendency to kind of jump out of the eye, so you can have a partial or total expulsion. So to overcome that, we devised a technique where we use an AC maintainer. And the other thing was to achieve the double scroll configuration. You can agitate the fluid within the glass column to get a single scroll go into a double scroll configuration. And this we could achieve 80% of the time. And this helps in the unfolding of the donor scroll. Here you can see with the AC maintainer being on, the tip is inserted into the eye, then the AC maintainer is switched off and disconnected from the IV tubing. Now when you inject the donor, you have a unidirectional flow. There is no counter pressure. The chamber also shallow, so configuration of the DMEC scroll is maintained. So the double scroll orientation is well maintained, and then the unfolding is pretty atraumatic. And using this principle in complex scenarios makes performing a DMEC surgery quite simple. This is just to again show you what we are doing. We have the AC maintainer connected. The tip of the injector goes into the eye, AC maintainer is switched off, and then we disconnect from the IV tubing. Now when you push the donor into the eye, you find that there is no counter pressure. The donor just goes into the eye, and there is no tendency for the donor scroll to rush out of the eye when you withdraw the tip of your cartridge from the eye. So that again gives a big advantage, and your orientation of the scroll is also maintained. The other thing that I realized is sometimes putting an air bubble under the donor scroll, once you have unfolded the donor scroll, is a challenge, because if you get an uncontrolled insertion of the air bubble can displace the well-centered DMEC scroll that you have opened up. So we use this back flush cannula, what the retina surgeons use. Here you have a silicone tubing. When you press on the tubing, you get a very small air bubble that comes out of the tip. So we use that for marking our donor as well. You can see that when the donor is being prepared, so thereby here we don't create that 3 millimeter stromal window. We mark it over the air bubble, and this is quite useful. Like inside the eye, you can see that's the DMEC scroll unfolded, and we can very easily put a small air bubble to lift up the graft and without the fear of displacing. So these are again two principles that we use in complex scenarios. In shallow anterior chamber that you get in pediatric eyes, eyes with ACIOL, with disorganized AC peripheral synechiae, if you get your donor graft in the upside orientation, sometimes flipping that over can be quite a challenge. So I think it's important, like in this case of CHED, we use the same principle of using the AC maintainer, and we make sure that the tip of the cartridge goes across the pupils, because you don't want to damage the crystalline lens, and then you get your donor scroll into the eye. Secure the wound, and as you tap, you will find that because the donor is in the right orientation, you can very easily get the scroll to open up and just put an air bubble to complete the surgery. That's the same patient in the post-op period. You can see that the cornea has cleared up quite well, and it's a great procedure to perform in eyes with CHED, where the cornea is already very thick, so you don't want to add volume of a DSEC graft to the CHED cornea. In complex scenarios, the other way of insertion is the endo-in technique, where you trifold the donor with the endothelium on the inner side, pretty much like a DSEC graft. This is then loaded onto an IOL cartridge. This is quite well described by Professor Busin, and Donald do it with the EndoGlide as well, the endo-in technique. And once you put it into the IOL cartridge, the cartridge is blocked from the posterior direction. Then keeping an AC maintainer running slow flow, you can pull the graft endo-in, and don't let go of the graft. You tap on the surface to open up, and then you put a small air bubble in between, which lifts up the scroll, and then you can manipulate and open up the scroll. So this is done in an eye with the presence of a AC IOL, and you can see that without displacing the IOL or exchanging it, you can still perform a DMEC surgery quite well. This is again a patient, one-eyed patient, has multiple glaucoma surgeries, has a failed cornea. So here to do the surgery, we go ahead, there's hardly any working space. So we did the synechial lysis first, And once we did the sinusolysis, before we go ahead, we try to put a test air bubble, and we find that it's very difficult to retain an air bubble because of the excessive small eye. So we go ahead and do a limited anterior vitrectomy. Once you do that limited anterior vitrectomy, we get more space in the anterior chamber, and now you see that when I put an air bubble in the anterior chamber, I'm able to retain the chamber very well. So this has to be decided beforehand. Once you prepare your donor and get the donor into the eye, and then you're struggling to keep an air bubble into the eye, it can be very challenging, especially in these eyes. So we were able to do that, and if you have a long tube, you need to trim that. We use the endo-in, the pull-through technique even for this eye. Sometimes you need to reduce the size of the donor, and you can have a good outcome. You can see post-operatively the patient did very well. In a vitrectomized eye or a very deep anterior chamber, unfolding is a problem. Here you can see that we put an air bubble within the scroll, and then we use the air bubble as an instrument to help unfold the graft. Otherwise, in a chamber that does not shallow, unfolding can be quite challenging as well. Intraoperative bleeding is definitely a concern. Commonly, it can happen from your main wound, from your side port, or sometimes even from the inferior PI. So you can see that in this case, as we were manipulating to open up the donor scroll, the inferior PI, where the bleeding had actually had stopped after the PI was made, but the tapping process again dislodged, and we started having bleeding. And in this scenario, trying to unfold the graft, control the bleeding, it can become very difficult. And the longer you manipulate, the stain of the donor graft goes away, and then, you know, in this case, finally we had to give it up and come back and repeat the surgery, and that was the outcome for that case, which did very well. Here we again are doing a case where we had a deep chamber, a soft eye, where we put an air bubble, unfolded the graft, put an air bubble, and then we found, and that's the light pipe being used to look at the orientation, and we found that maybe in one quadrant there is some peripheral synechiae. We went to release it, and then we induced bleeding. So, you know, sometimes you need to know when to stop. Didn't want to leave the blood inside, so I kept a mid-size air bubble in the AC, went with the Simcoe and gently washed out that blood, and then put in an air bubble and completed the surgery. But again, this is again a difficult scenario, because while you're going and washing, sometimes you can catch the donor and you can displace. A light pipe is very useful to look at the position, the final position of the graft as well. If you have eye pseudophakic bullous keratopathy where there is a large pre-existing YAG capsulotomy, and if you go ahead and do your DMEC surgery, the problem can be, there may not be any vitreous in the anterior chamber when you start the surgery, but when you shallow the chamber and the eye is soft, and if you have, you know, a large capsulotomy, a YAG capsulotomy, you can have vitreous that herniates to the front. So performing a vitrectomy in this scenario is also very difficult once you have your scroll in the anterior chamber. So we did a dry, we used pilocarpine to constrict the pupil, did a dry Wexel excision of the vitreous, and then we, with minimal manipulation, opened up the graft. Again, we find peaking of the pupil. Again, we had to do a little bit of sponge excision of the vitreous, and finally we managed to open up the graft and completed the surgery. That's the post-op appearance of the same. This is again maybe the last video. In this kind of scenario where you have a complex anterior segment, failed DSEC graft, you open up and you put in your donor scroll, and you're trying to open up, because it's a deep chamber, vitrectomized eye, the scroll is not opening, and the more you manipulate, sometimes the scroll tends to go the reverse direction. To prevent that from happening, you can even use microforceps to go and hold one edge of the graft to stabilize it, and then tap to open up the scroll so that the orientation is maintained and you don't lose the orientation. And then at the end of it, once it's opened up, we put an air bubble and complete the surgery. Pupilloplasty can also be performed, and we mentioned about the light pipe orientation. So here you can see that we have a hazy cornea. We put in the graft, but just for confirmation, you can use a light pipe to see that your F or the S stamp, and that gives you a peaceful night's sleep so that you know that you have put in your graft the right way. This is again another scenario where you can use a light pipe. We have opened up the scroll, but once you put your final big, large bubble, you can always put the light pipe to identify the orientation in hazy cornea, and then put in the final bubble to complete the surgery. You can do it in complex scenarios like ICE syndrome. So basically, sometimes you need a modified approach. For very shallow chamber, you may need an anterior vitrectomy to improve the working space. pull-through technique, if you don't use it routinely in these kind of scenarios, they are quite useful. And the other alternative maybe would be to do an ultra-thin DSEC in those complex scenarios. Thank you. Thank you for a patient hearing.
Thank you, sir. A really wonderful collection